For years, everyone thought they already knew the real reason why Pauley Perrette retired from acting. The official story seemed simple and believable. She wanted a quieter, more peaceful life away from the spotlight. But recently leaked documents told a very different and far more troubling story. Behind the polished headlines were disturbing allegations, reports of assaults, safety violations, and even a co-star who frightened her so badly that she needed therapy just to cope. CBS, the network, believed that their legal settlement with her would put an end to everything, silencing the matter forever. They were wrong. Now, at 56 years old, Pauley Perrette is no longer staying silent. She is finally ready to share her truth about what really happened during those final painful years on set. Pauley Perrette was born on March 27, 1969, in New Orleans, Louisiana. But her childhood was anything but stable or rooted in one place. Her father worked in the railroad industry, and because of that, her family was constantly on the move. By the time she was a teenager, she had already lived in 14 different places across the country. She never stayed long enough in one place to feel a true sense of belonging. Yet, through all this instability, she learned something valuable. Constantly. Uprooting and starting over taught her how to adjust quickly, how to blend in anywhere, and how to read people almost instantly. Even though she was born in Louisiana, Pauley often said that Alabama felt the closest to home. Growing up across so many parts of the South gave her a unique adaptability, something that later proved essential when she stepped into the unpredictable and often unforgiving world of Hollywood. Even before audiences came to know her as the beloved Abby Sciuto, Pauley had her eyes set on crime fighting. As a child, she wasn't interested in the usual fairy tales or lighthearted cartoons. Instead, she was fascinated by real-life stories of criminals and the science used to catch them. While most children dreamed of becoming astronauts, athletes, or movie stars, Pauley talked about joining a rock band, working with animals, or even becoming an FBI agent. And she wasn't just daydreaming, she meant every word. After finishing high school, she pursued her interests seriously, studying criminal justice and earning multiple degrees in sociology, psychology, and criminology. But she didn't stop. There, she later moved to New York City to pursue a master's degree at John Jay College of Criminal Justice. What drove Pauley wasn't a hunger for fame or recognition. Instead, she had a deep, personal question that haunted her. Why do some people hurt others without remorse? That question stuck with her throughout her life and education. But her academic journey was interrupted by something that left a permanent scar. In the 1980s, while living in Atlanta, Pauley was violently mugged. The details remain scarce, but what is clear is the deep impact it left on her. It wasn't just a terrifying ordeal, it became a turning point in her life. Instead of suppressing the trauma, she used it as fuel. It gave her a stronger reason to keep studying crime and to dedicate herself to helping others. From that moment on, she spoke out for victims, using her voice and later her platform to support people who had been through similar pain. She never forgot what it felt like to be one of them. Her college years were far from ordinary. Worked tirelessly in school, but she worked even harder outside the classroom just to survive. While in Georgia, she focused on her criminal justice studies and kept her grades high. When she moved to New York, life became much tougher to pay. For school, she bartended in underground clubs, rocking a mohawk and combat boots while fitting perfectly into the city's eccentric nightlife. She passed out flyers while roller skating through the streets, cooked meals on dinner cruise boats, and even worked odd jobs wherever she could find them. It wasn't glamorous, but she later admitted that these experiences gave her an edge. She wasn't just reading about human behavior in textbooks, she was living it every single day. That blend of academic knowledge and real-world experience ended up becoming the perfect foundation for acting. Even though acting wasn't her original plan, Pauley's rebellious streak started early. At just 15 years old, she got her first tattoo, a shocking move in the deeply conservative Southern world she was raised in. She grew up in a strict church environment where watching movies and television was often discouraged. On the outside, she looked like the perfect Southern girl with her blonde hair, pigtails, and polite manners. But inside, she felt different. Her tattoos became her way of telling the world that she wasn't going to follow the rules laid out. For her, Over the years, she collected around 20 tattoos, each one expressing a piece of her identity. She transformed her body into a canvas that defied the traditional expectations she had been raised with. By the time Pauley arrived in Hollywood in the 1990s, she had just $71 to her name. She had come straight from New York, where she had been bartending in the club scene, doing whatever it took to survive. Los Angeles didn't make things easier. She crashed on friends' floors, took on any odd jobs she could, and even did voiceover work for a dial-a-song service to make rent. Acting wasn't something she'd always dreamed of. It was something she stumbled into out of necessity, because her criminology background couldn't pay the bills. At her lowest point, she walked dogs along Sunset Boulevard for only $5 a day. But that job unexpectedly changed her life when she rescued a pit bull off the street, naming her Cease. Cease wasn't just a pet, she became family. Years later, when Pauley clashed with a co-star over his aggressive dog, that connection to Cease made the conflict even more personal. Her love for animals, born on those dog-walking days, became a lifelong passion. She went on to support countless animal rescue organizations throughout her career. Pauley's first real break in television didn't come through auditions or powerful agents. It came by chance. Sitting in a coffee shop one day, she overheard someone talking about a casting call for The Drew Carey Show. She decided to try out and ended up landing a recurring role as an extra named Darcy, appearing in 4 episodes over 2 years. Small opportunity helped her build momentum. She slowly began adding credits to her resume with appearances on Frasier and Murder One. In 2000, Pauley appeared in Cameron Crowe's film Almost Famous, playing a radio DJ named Alice Wisdom. While it was a small role, it gave her the chance to work alongside talented actors like Philip Seymour Hoffman. Years earlier, she had starred in a smaller drama, The Price of Kissing. These weren't blockbuster roles, but they allowed her to grow as an actress. By the early 2000s, she was ready for the role that would change her life forever. In 2003, Pauley walked into an audition room wearing baggy Levi's, sneakers, and a plain white t-shirt. With her natural blonde hair, she looked nothing like the gothic forensic scientist that millions would soon adore. But the moment she walked in, series creator Don Belisario reportedly said, "That's her." Pauley didn't even need to try. Her caffeinated energy, quick-talking warmth, and natural love for hugs weren't enacted, was just who she was. And that was exactly what made Abby Sciuto unforgettable. Abby didn't just join the NCIS team, she became the heart of it. Fans quickly made it clear that Abby was their favorite. Writers noticed the connection and kept expanding her role until she became central to the show. By the time she left in 2018, Pauley had appeared in every single episode since the series began. One else on the cast could say the same. Along the way, even quirky props like Bert the farting hippo, a stuffed purple toy, became legendary on set. What started as a background gag turned into an iconic symbol, with producers eventually locking it away to prevent cast and crew from stealing it behind the camera. Pauley treated Abby's forensic expertise with complete seriousness. She worked closely with real forensic experts, studying DNA analysis, ballistics, and lab protocols, so that every line she delivered felt authentic. This dedication made Abby more than just a fictional character. She felt like someone who could actually step into a real NCIS lab and get to work. Off-screen, Pauley poured herself into causes she cared deeply about, particularly supporting veterans. She partnered with American Humane's Pups for Patriots program, which trains service dogs for veterans with PTSD and brain injuries. These dogs cost up to $30,000 to train. But the program has already paired more than 160 veterans with life-saving companions. To Pauley, this mission mirrored Abby's deep respect for military service members on the show. The popularity of NCIS exploded by the Season 7 finale, which drew over 20 million viewers in the US alone. It even beat American Idol that year, and became the #1 scripted drama in America position it would hold for years. Oddly enough, one of the most effective marketing wins came from Abby's signature drink, the bright red Caf POW. Originally intended to be caffeine pills, the idea was changed to a drink, and soon 7-Eleven was selling themed cups that boosted energy drink sales nationwide by 14%. What fans didn't know, however, was that Pauley never actually drank, yet her cups were always filled with cranberry juice. Pauley's dedication went far beyond acting. She never used a body double, even when scenes pushed her to her limits. She suffered from severe claustrophobia, yet still filmed inside morgue sets in tight spaces. In one episode, Bait Noir, she powered through a major hostage scene, despite feeling as though the walls were closing in on her. Her fears were real, but she never let them interfere with her performance in secret. Pauley even created a webcomic called Lab Babel Under. The pen name P, the series captured Abby's quirky lab adventures and even featured Bert the Hippo. At first, no one knew she was behind it. But when fans found out, they also discovered that every cent she made from ad revenue went directly to animal shelters. Across the country, her impact was recognized in 2011 when Guinness World Records named her the most popular TV crime drama actress, a title no one had ever won before. This wasn't just about ratings. It was based on her Q-score, a measurement of how much audiences liked her personally, not just her character. She even beat out actresses from CSI and Law & Order. By that time, NCIS was averaging over 18 million viewers per episode, and much of that success could be credited to the heart, humor, and humanity Pauley Perrette brought to Abby Sciuto. What truly made Pauley Perrette stand out on NCIS wasn't just her signature goth appearance or the quirky science jargon she used as forensic specialist Abby Sciuto. What set her apart was her ability to make viewers genuinely care about her character. But behind the scenes, things shifted dramatically in October 2016, changing the show forever. Mark Harmon, the longtime star of the series, often brought his rescue pit bull Dave to the set without incident. But on one particular day, everything went horribly wrong. The dog suddenly attacked a crew member, biting so severely that the injured person needed 15 stitches. The attack was not minor. It was serious enough to halt production for 2 full hours. It left behind not only deep physical wounds, but also emotional scars. Harmon's own attorney even admitted later that he had warned him about the dangers of bringing the dog back to work. Despite this, Harmon continued to bring Dave onto the set. What once felt like a safe and controlled work environment now carried an undercurrent of fear. This was not the kind of incident that could simply be brushed aside. Instead, it triggered a chain reaction that would eventually unravel the very foundation of the show. Pauley Perrette, who had witnessed the aftermath, demanded that CBS permanently ban Dave from ever returning to set. She was deeply shaken by what had happened. Yet when the network allowed the dog back, she felt both ignored and betrayed. Furious, she fought back by adding a very specific clause into her season 15 contract. From that moment on, she would never appear in the same scene with Mark Harmon again. To fans watching at home, this arrangement was puzzling. On screen, Harmon and Perrette's characters no longer shared scenes. But most viewers didn't realize the extent of the behind-the-scenes tension. Production crews had to adjust schedules so that Pauley's scenes were filmed on different days with separate teams. This made the show more expensive and much harder to manage. Even in Pauley's final episode, which drew an audience of 15 million viewers, she and Harmon weren't even filmed in the same building. Editors had to carefully stitch the episode together, creating the illusion that they were connected when in reality, they were not. Then, in June 2019, everything spilled into the public eye. At 6 a.m., Pauley posted a shocking tweet that sent waves across the internet. In it, she confessed that she was terrified of Mark Harmon, revealing that she suffered from nightmares about him attacking her. She made it absolutely clear that she would never return to NCIS. Her words weren't filtered through a media outlet or leaked by a source. They came directly from her, raw and unfiltered. The internet exploded, entertainment sites crashed, and fans struggled to process the idea that the calm, fatherly figure Harmon portrayed on TV might not reflect reality. Harmon chose silence, but for many people, that silence only made Pauley's accusations seem even more believable. What most fans didn't know was that Pauley had already filed 3 official safety complaints with HR before her departure. These weren't petty disputes or rumors about money. CBS later confirmed that she had raised serious concerns about her safety more than a year before she left the show. In 2018, she even tweeted that she had endured multiple physical assaults, hinting that she had been pressured into silence while a powerful machine spread lies about her exit. She admitted she felt unsafe coming to work and that she needed therapy afterward. The fact that she filed 3 separate complaints showed that she tried to follow proper channels and also highlighted that CBS had multiple opportunities to act more decisively, but failed to. For Pauley, NCIS became less of a workplace and more of a hostile environment she needed to escape. The situation escalated further when it was revealed that Pauley had gone as far as hiring a private investigator. This wasn't just venting frustration. She was building a case. Investigator documented safety violations on set, and Pauley used this evidence to push CBS into a private settlement. Multiple reports confirmed that CBS paid her somewhere between $5 and $9 million. This was not a dispute over bad scripts or paychecks. It was about safety, accountability, and protecting her from further harm. The settlement came with a strict, non-disclosure agreement designed to keep everything buried at the time. CBS was already facing backlash for other misconduct cases, including a $9.5 million payout to actress Eliza Dushku over harassment claims on a different show. The fact that Pauley's settlement reached similar figures suggested that her case was serious enough to pose real risks to both CBS's reputation and Mark Harmon's career. If the full details had ever gone public, 2 years after leaving NCIS, Pauley attempted to come back with a sitcom titled Broke. The premiere on April 2, 2020, is promising, attracting more than 7 million viewers. But the success didn't last. Ratings dropped quickly, and by the end of its 30-episode season, only 3.6 million people were tuning in. In the key 18 to 49 demographic, the show's rating fell to just 0.4, far too low for survival. Critics dismissed it as dull and directionless. CBS had hoped the show would reignite her career, but it ended quietly. Just 2 months after Broke was canceled, Pauley sent a final colorful message to fans. On July 7, 2020, she tweeted, "I'm free in bright rainbow colors." It wasn't just a cheerful update, it was her official retirement from acting. She declared that she now only answered to God, animals, and plants. Her beloved rescue dogs, she added, were her true judges. After more than 25 years in Hollywood and over 350 episodes of NCIS, she was finished. No interviews, no farewell tour, no return plans, just a single bold statement that closed the door for good. Even after stepping away, Pauley was still in demand. Major shows like The Good Doctor and Law & Order, SVU, offered her lucrative guest roles, which typically pay between $100,000 and $300,000. For someone with her resume, these would have been easy wins. But she turned them down. Money wasn't her motivation anymore. Peace was. Despite once supporting SVU and its causes, she refused to return to the world of television, proving she wasn't chasing fame but protecting her mental and emotionally. Well, being on the morning of September 2, 2021, Pauley's life took another terrifying turn. She woke up to find the entire right side of her body numb. At first, she brushed it off, thinking she had simply slept in a strange position. But when the sensation didn't return and her own finger touching her cheek felt foreign, panic set in. Even the weight of her laptop on her legs felt like nothing. Alarmed, she called her doctor, who immediately urged her to get emergency care. Within minutes, she was in the ER, where doctors confirmed her worst fear. At just 53 years old, Pauley was having a massive ischemic stroke. For 36 hours, she completely lost her voice and couldn't speak. When her speech finally returned, her first words were light and sarcastic. "Dude, seriously?" But the truth was far more dire. Her doctors later admitted they didn't expect her to survive past 5 p.m. that very day. The stroke was that severe. Recovery required months of speech therapy and work on motor skills. What saved her life wasn't only medical intervention, it was her rescue dog, Rosie. During the stroke, Rosie pawed at her persistently, keeping her awake and alert long enough to get help in time. In a medical emergency like a stroke, every minute counts, and Rosie's insistence bought Pauley the time she needed to survive. Pauley had always loved rescuing animals, but this was different. The dog she once saved had ended up saving her. It deepened her bond with animals into something almost spiritual. Afterward, her spirituality grew stronger. She began retreating twice a year to a Benedictine monastery in Big Sur. The monks didn't try to convert her. Instead, they taught her the power of silence, prayer, and listening. She created her own simple daily prayer. Thank you for everything, and forgive me for everything. She described her connection to God as quiet guidance, soft whispers like trust or not now. These retreats didn't just help her recover from the stroke. They helped her process years of trauma, including a brutal attack in 2015 that had left her deeply shaken. Even while working through personal pain, Pauley gave back. She became an executive producer on Studio One Forever, a documentary about Studio One, America's first gay disco in West Hollywood, which served as a safe haven for the LGBTQ community. During the height of the AIDS crisis, the film, featuring voices like Bruce Vilanch and Chita Rivera, premiered at the 2023 Outfest LA Film Festival. For Pauley, it wasn't about Hollywood prestige, it was about making sure forgotten voices were heard. Her generosity often happened away from the spotlight. In 2015, she quietly helped a young cancer patient named Cristina Flores, a huge NCIS fan whose dream was to meet Abby. Thanks to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, they spent time together and even got matching temporary tattoos. After Cristina sadly passed away, Pauley secretly paid for her funeral and family expenses. The story only surfaced when Cristina's aunt posted about it online. Pauley never commented. She didn't need to. Hollywood kept calling, but Pauley stayed true to her principles. In 2007, Playboy offered her $750,000 to pose. She said no. In 2013, they returned with nearly $1 million. She refused again. At the time, NCIS was pulling in 19 million viewers a week, and Playboy assumed she'd agree. But Pauley rejected the idea of women being turned into objects. She knew young fans were watching her and wanted to send a different message. In a 2014 interview, she admitted the offers didn't tempt her at all. She believed real strength could be shown in other ways. Then, in 2023, surprising revelation came when her will was leaked during a probate filing. Pauley's estate, valued at more than $22 million, left nothing to family or friends. Instead, she dedicated 100% of it to causes she cared deeply about: no-kill animal shelters and the Innocence Project. Her lawyer explained that she wanted to avoid inheritance drama and ensure her money went where it could truly make a difference. The division was deliberate: 60% for shelters, 40% for freeing the wrongfully convicted. She even left special instructions for her ashes: half to be scattered near a dog park, and the other half at the rescue center where she had found her very first dog.